What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I just did about 5 minutes of talking and realized that I didn't even have the camera recording. So if you're new to the channel, we're glad that you're here. I do some different things on the channel. I work on some stuff around the house. Sometimes I take the camera to work with me. I do renovation and remodel work for a living. But a lot of times I'll break up some videos here and there. I like to do some life discussions, talks, things like that, just whether it's good, bad, whatever. But other than that, we're glad that you're here. Also, something else I wanted to address, that's about where the video cut on me the last time, was somebody had asked on one of the previous videos. I had a Black Rifle Coffee Company hat on, and they said between the hat and this sign right here in the background, not the pine tree one, but the one above it, that I looked like a militia dude. So I don't know what that means, but whatever. It's not a big deal. I'm not in a militia, but I explained to him that the reason I like those two things, I'm a big fan of Black Rifle Coffee. I like that it's a veteran-owned business. I like what they stand for. I like that they stand up for the Second Amendment. You know, things like that. I like that, you know, proceeds go back to helping, you know, fund veterans' jobs and other stuff. And the Gadsden flag that is behind me here, I actually didn't know what it was about. I thought it was something that was relatively new up till even a few years ago. That sign right there, it dates back to the Revolutionary War, I believe, when we broke away from England, but it's got a lot of history behind it, and I actually like it now that I understand the history behind it. So that's pretty much it. But not to get off topic, but the reason that I turned on the camera and wanted to do a short video, I was in a wedding this previous weekend, and the crowd was not a lot younger than me, but most of the people that were in the wedding were probably in their early mid-20s or so. I'm in my mid-30s. But everybody that watches the channel knows that I don't drink. I live a sober lifestyle now, and that's something that comes up a lot in my day-to-day life or my weekend life when I'm out and about. And then people that knew me previously when I still did drink that don't know that I don't drink anymore. So with that being said, I had done a video about a month or month and a half ago discussing why I chose to live a sober lifestyle, or that's what I'm doing now. And, you know, just some things that come up in those discussions. Really, the reason that it was on my mind while I was working also is because the wedding that I was in this previous weekend, there were some moments that came up that I did actually miss not partaking to a point. And then there was some moments that came up that I realized were good affirmations as to why I quit drinking. So I think it's positive to look at both. And I think those things help us grow and move forward, and, you know, make us stronger. So that's kind of where the idea for the video came from. But also something that comes up when I discuss things with people is, you know, how did I go about choosing sobriety, and what's made me effective at doing that? Now, I understand not everybody's going to just flip a switch, walk a different road, and do that completely alone. There's things that, you know, some people need different than others, and there's some really good outlets out there that you can utilize, such as AA. We've actually done home remodel work for 2 customers that live a completely sober AA lifestyle. They're AA advocates, and they're phenomenal people. They have actually taught me a fair amount while I worked there. They also had invested time in me to listen to my story, reached out to me that if I felt like at any point that was something that I needed, and they even gave me some literature as far as AA, and I think that's all great. I don't think there's a wrong road or a wrong answer to living a sober lifestyle. This has worked for me, and, you know, maybe if you have somebody in your life that is struggling, or maybe it's you yourself that's struggling, some of these tips might be able to really help you. And that's kind of what was on my mind while I was mowing. So without me rambling anymore, I'll get into the tips that I had written down. But I think first and foremost, you need to make a clear decision in your head. If it's something that you're tossing around the notion of, you know, I'm kind of an all or nothing person, and people, actually I had a conversation at the wedding about that. Somebody had asked me, is this a sore topic or can I ask you? And I said, absolutely, that's fine. So we had a full discussion about why I chose to do what I do. Is there parts of me that think that I could drink and manage it? Yes, but I think that that's also the drinker in me that is saying that. So I don't think that would be conducive for me, nor do I feel like it's easy to keep yourself accountable, because I think the 2 or 3 drink me isn't good at thinking and saying the same things that the sober me is. So that's the reason I chose what I do, or why I do what I do. But, you know, decide what it is that you want to do, discern it, and, you know, hold yourself accountable. But I guess I'm trying to think of how I want to word it, but don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as a positive, that this is something that you get to do. You are making the decision to do it, because it's a daily decision. This isn't just I'm going to make this decision, it's never going to come up again. I've been sober for about a year and 4 months, year and 5 months, and like I said, there was parts at the wedding that I actually did think about would be nice to have a couple of drinks. But I also understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, you know, think about that, and think about why you want to do it, and all of the factors in your life that are attributing to maybe why alcohol doesn't need to have a presence in your life. But right after that, and the thing that I did as soon as I quit drinking, was I made myself accountable to a select few people in my life. I went to my parents, I went to my wife, and some of the people that I work with and I'm close friends with, and I told them why I was choosing to do what I was doing. I also came out about the level and the amount in which I was drinking. And I probably had never been completely honest with anyone about because if anybody that feels as though they're struggling with something, you're going to hide some things to some level, which is a symptom of alcoholism. So I came out to them. I said, I think this is something that I need to do. And we had discussions amongst all those different groups of people. And I knew once I did that, those people were going to hold my feet to the fire. As humans, we're terrible at holding ourselves accountable. All right, phone's ringing in the middle of the video, but no big deal. But we're terrible at holding ourselves accountable. At least, you know, I know that's how I am. So by making myself accountable with other people, I knew that I was making a decision that was going to be difficult for me to go back on and just do it myself for a week and be like, oh, well, you know, I haven't drank for a week. No, I went full bore into this is what I'm doing, and I'm living this way now. So, you know, or if you need to, reach out to an AA community. They're great. People kind of have a down view on it. I don't like to think of it as sober living or you know, this I don't get to mentality or whatever. Be proud of it. You know, it's a really awesome thing to do, and it takes a lot of willpower to do it. Be proud of it and utilize the tools that are set up that way to help you out. I mean, the first thing that I'm telling you that I did, I had no idea, is one of the first things that AA tells you to do, which is to find someone and a group of people to hold yourself accountable. That's what AA does. That's why you usually get a sponsor, because you will have an accountability to someone other than yourself. So moving on, the next big thing that I did was find something to get involved in. There's so many things, and be involved with the right people. I think that's a key. Some people say, well, you chose a really difficult time to stop because of COVID and all of that stuff being a stressor, but I actually look at it as in a completely different way. I actually chose, or it was happenstance that it came up that way, but I stopped at a really great opportune time for me, because I didn't have all these social gatherings and places to go to be, potentially persuaded into drinking. I'll get the words in a minute. But I felt like it actually was a good time for me to kind of distance myself away from social gatherings and to live that way. So that's kind of how I looked at the shutdown, not necessarily in a more stressful sense. But anyway, the channel was my something to get involved in. That most people don't even know it, but the channel was birthed completely out of my sobriety. I didn't even realize it, but I latched onto it, and it gave me a purpose and something to look forward to. Because my garage time a lot before was, having a few drinks while I was out here working on something. Not setting the camera up. Something I wanted to say a minute ago was when I came, out to other people that I was, what I felt like was struggling with drinking, was I was probably drinking any day, depending on what was going on with work, or if we had a couple of drinks after work or something. I would say on any given average, somewhere between 6 to 10 drinks on average per day. I've had discussions with people, and they say, I know people that drink more than that, and that I do too. But I had to quit worrying about what other people do and worry about what I needed to do for me. But then I talk to other people, and they say, that's quite a bit. So you've got to make that determination and that assessment. The little bit that I have dove into what they call the big book, the AA book that my friends had gifted to me, really to discover whether you think you struggle with or have alcoholism is a self journey, anyways, from my understanding. So it's a discernment process. You're going to go through peeling back the layers. Let's see. I'm trying to keep this moving on, so I did pre-write down some notes. This kind of ties into the wedding, but I had written down kind of when you're out and about, look for people whose minds you're opening or changing to, that might be having a reflection from your sobriety about themselves. It happens a lot when you choose this path. But also look for reasons that affirm why you stopped. And again, both of those things completely correlate back into the wedding, and why I wanted to put the video up. At the end of the night, well, close to the end of the night, there was a couple people in the wedding that had gotten so far beyond, their own coherence that I even helped a gentleman out to his car and buckled him in. He wasn't driving, his wife was driving. But the frustration in the situation between him and his wife, and then the other individual who, it completely set in my mind that I remembered those times and those types of instances when things went too far, and made me feel really good about the place I was in. I haven't gotten out and danced. I can't even tell you when probably the last time was, but I can guarantee you I was probably having a drink when I did it. And not just because I was in this wedding that I felt a little bit more comfortable. I had to give a best man speech, and the nerves, I don't feel like my delivery was good at all. But somehow after I was done with that, I was fine to go out and act like a complete goofball on the dance floor. But it's taken a long time for me to be comfortable with who I am and to get back to the original me, that I didn't feel like I had to put this mask on, or that's like how I like to think about alcohol, is that you have to put this front on, this mask on, to do things in your life. I feel so much better that I don't have to do that now, and that I actually table up to the anxiety that comes with some of those things, like giving the speech. That's not easy for me. I don't like doing it. People say, well, you do the channel, but the channel, it's I guess it's because I can edit this, but still tons of people see it, and that doesn't bother me. But for some reason, giving a live speech in front of a live audience, it builds my anxiety up. And so I kind of just have learned to just be comfortable with that and realize that it will pass. I deal with other anxiety too. That's part of the reason I drink. But, you know, it took me realizing that it didn't, alcohol, whether it be completely reasonable anxiety because I was giving a speech, or it was, you know, just you're flipping out because you think all these different things are happening in your life and you're just worried about every little element, and it's irrational anxiety. Alcohol didn't help with either one of them. At the end, all it did was create more anxiety, because even if I would have been able to put a mask on, give a speech, the next day I'd have been saying, oh my gosh, what did I say? How stupid was I acting? What did I talk about? What was I saying to those people? So it never really helped any situation. I thought it did temporarily, but it really only made any of my anxiety that I experienced worse, whether it be completely justifiable or irrational anxiety, either one. There was the other instances that I referred to in the wedding that I said I thought would have been a good time to have a drink. Somewhat early on in the day, all the guys, we were getting ready. The particular hall that they had it at was really cool. They had a pool table, and it was very pure. There was no overconsumption going on. It was people just hanging out and having a good time. If anybody out there wants to watch, there's actually a younger guy who's a Catholic priest who does a really good talk on drinking and kind of the view a lot of Catholics have of drinking. And he talks about, in your head when you pass that line. And there's a good time, there's a pure time of when alcohol is completely acceptable, and it enhances that social interaction. But it's very short. And I used to think that it had to be completely involved all the way around. And that's why I quit, and I'm living a completely different lifestyle now. Another thing that I think is good to do is I enjoy coffee. Excuse me. I enjoy coffee, and I have learned to enjoy some other things more now that I used to kind of just brush off because I just wanted to grab a beer instead of something else. But occasionally, if it's the week, or maybe you're having a little bit more stress in your day, whatever, stop and get you a gourmet coffee on the way home, or a milkshake or something. Think about smaller ways that, or if you're, you like the taste of beer. What I've found is a lot of people say, oh, I really like the taste of beer. Well, I kind of used to think I did also, but I really don't like the taste of beer anymore. When I first quit, I would drink non-alcoholics with people when I was socializing. I still will occasionally, but I really don't care for the taste of it like I used to. And maybe that's just because it's not something I regularly consume anymore, so it's just not appetizing to me. I will still on occasion, but if you just want to blend in and you're at a party or whatever, get a solo cup, put some Coke in it or something else that you enjoy drinking, and just blend in. But you don't have to make it if you don't want to make it a big deal, don't make it a big deal. And just kind of be part of everybody hanging out. But I think treating yourself at some level is important, because you are giving something up to an extent. So, but you're going to have a lot of extra money sitting around. So at least that's what I've figured out. So my last tip for successful self-sobriety is be open to people about it, and it will help you grow. At least I feel that's how it is. The more people I'm open with about it, the more people that I can see it change their mind, and then they're thinking about things for themselves, or they're thinking about, well, how does he have enough confidence to go out and dance or do something else, or give a speech, and he has no alcohol in him. And I've really become proud of that, and I enjoy it more than I used to. So I get into so many neat discussions with other people about why I'm doing it. And it's, in the beginning, it was probably more because I brought it up, and anymore it's usually other people are asking me about it. So those are my tips. I think they're big ones. I think they'll help. It's kind of funny. The guy that I work with, his sister is an addiction counselor. And when I first quit, you know, he kind of wasn't completely sure about why I was doing what I was doing. And in a short order, he was very proud of why I was doing it. And he had talked to his sister about it, who doesn't live in our area, and was telling her kind of some of the steps that I had taken to do it. And she said, well, he's doing AA to himself. So I think a lot of these probably do fall right in line with a 12-step program. And you know, whether you think, you know, you can do this on your own, or you want to join a community like AA, there's no wrong answer. The right answer is that you're trying to do something better for your life. And I think that's all that matters. And don't worry about anybody that's going to judge you. The further or longer I've gone with the channel, with the changes, with my sobriety, I became more and more self-confident than I ever was before, with where I felt like I was more confident with alcohol. And it couldn't have been further from the truth. So hopefully these tips help somebody out there. These are some of the things that were on my mind tonight, and with the wedding this past weekend, I wanted to share them with some people and hopefully shed some light on some things and spark some conversations or some thought with some people. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you tuning into the channel. We look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care and have a good day.